Medicare, Medicaid. A lot of people definitely freaking out about the big, beautiful bill, how it's going to affect their Medicare, their Medicaid, their Medicare savings program. And so we're going to talk about all that as well. Today, got a bunch of recorded videos that people sent in and had specific questions. All right, so let's get down to what is going on with this 50% cut in Social Security benefits that a lot of people have seen out there. And so in order to get those people to watch, so they can reduce their stress, unfortunately, I had to put in my thumbnail 50%, but at the bottom I put what's really happening. So we're going to talk about what's really happening. This has happened at Social Security for decades and decades and decades. Okay. What this basically is, it was at a different percentage. It used to be 10%. Then they raised it, the Doge, when they took over Social Security, and make no mistakes, Doge is still in charge of Social Security. I'll put up my website here, mygovexpert.com, all things on retirement, disability, survivor benefits, living overseas, Medicaid, all the rest of it. Okay, so for overpayments, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about, the 50% cut in benefits. And so before Doge came in, if you had an overpayment, here's the deal. Here's where a lot of these social media people don't understand. There's always been an automatic percentage cut to your benefits when you have an overpayment if you don't respond to that overpayment in a timely fashion. So before Doge came in, when Doge came in, they switched it to 100%. They're going to hold back 100% of your paycheck. And then us, my community, and a whole bunch of people throughout the country protested, as rightly so, and said, no, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. 100%, that's going to be people homeless. They're not going to be able to eat and all the rest of it. So they switched it to 50%. Okay. So now it's 50%. And that's only if you don't respond. And for those people that say, well, it doesn't matter, I don't have an overpayment, I'll talk to you here in a second of why it's important for you to know this information just in case something does happen. So basically what happens if you get an overpayment, and there's several ways you can get an overpayment, they send you a letter. Sometimes people don't respond to that letter. They think it's a scam mail or something like that, or they, doesn't get to them. They move. Social Security has the wrong address, whatever the case may be. And they don't respond. What Social Security did for decades before Doge came in was they said, okay, you're not responding. Okay, we'll give you kind of the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you didn't get the letter, whatever the case may be. But I bet you if we cut your benefits by 10%, that'll kind of make you aware of something's going on. And if your benefits are cut by 10%, you get 10% less, you're going to call the Social Security Administration. And then when you call the Social Security Administration, they're going to say, oh yeah, we've been sending you letters on this overpayment about this, that, and the other. And like, oh, I didn't know, I didn't have it, or whatever the case may be. So it was kind of, hey, contact us. And Doge came in, they said, no, not 10%, we're going to do 100%. And a lot of people, it's like they were in the hospital or, traveling or something like that. And all of a sudden they got no check whatsoever. And it takes them weeks or months to get it all figured out. So that was completely ludicrous. So they decided to go to 50%. So that's what it is. It's 50% now. If you don't respond, and usually they give you about 90 days to respond, but I've been hearing all kinds of different things about that as well. But if you respond, you're good. And the next question, a lot of people say, well, I've already got an overpayment. I've got a payment plan. Will this affect me? Are they going to start withholding 50%? I've already made a deal where I'm going to pay back $100 a month or $50 a month or whatever the case may be. Is that going to affect me? No, it's not going to affect you. It better not. If you've already got a deal with the Social Security Administration and you had an overpayment and you set up some type of payment plan, then you should be good. They shouldn't change it. If they do, make sure you reach out to them, reach out here, let us know, and then we'll tell you some different strategies to get that addressed. But they shouldn't change any existing payment plans. The next question I get about this is, well, if Social Security overpays someone, it's Social Security's fault. So, they shouldn't have to pay anything. People don't understand how people get overpaid. There's several ways you can get overpaid by the Social Security Administration, and most of those times are, unfortunately, based the person. It's particularly if you're receiving retirement benefits, Social Security retirement benefits, and you filed for benefits early, then what happens is you have to stay under the annual earnings limit. This year is $23,400. And if you go over the earnings limit, then you'll have an overpayment. So that's what people do sometimes is, they go over a little bit and they get an overpayment, or they go over a lot and they don't contact Social Security Administration, then they get an overpayment. So if you're going to go considerably over the annual earnings limit, call Social Security or watch my videos on overpayments. Check out my website on overpayments, and it gives you different options that you can play around with. A lot of people, when they receive an SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, and they work, the entire Social Security Disability Insurance program, they incentivize you to work. People want everybody to go back to work if you're able to go back to work. So they give you a lot of incentives, and they're very, very difficult to navigate. So I've got I've got a guide you can download for free, a calculator you can figure out, if you're on disability, can you work, how much you can work, and all that. So people work and they don't understand the regulations and they get overpaid. Or if they're an SSI, supplemental security income, they get some money coming in, they get overpaid. And yes, if Social Security, yes, they do make mistakes. If they make mistakes on your mistake on your calculation, pay you, too much, not enough, whatever the case may be, then you can possibly get an overpayment there. And so as long as you address that overpayment within a reasonable amount of time, should be within 90 days, that's what the regulation says, then you can request an overpayment, or you can request an appeal where you can say, no, your records are completely wrong. I didn't have this overpayment. And that is an SSA 632. I've got some videos on that, and my website as well talks about those type of overpayments and how to address them. Okay, so social media world out there, there's this one channel out of Spain that does a lot of disability videos in the United States for whatever reason, and they are pretty consistent in saying, hey, 50% cut, and then they don't tell you kind of the details of it. So people out there in social media land, stop freaking people out. There is 50% cuts, but you can work around it if you take action as soon as possible. All right, so let's get into a bunch of live Q&As. If you're just here for the 50% cut, have an awesome day. But if you want to stick around for the questions, we can definitely do that. Let's see here. Let me pick some people at random. Isn't it inhumane how you work all your life, pay into the system, and then have to worry about your money? Thanks, Doge. Well, to be fair, the cut on Social Security, that whole reality is before Doge even came into the picture, unfortunately. I've got basically, here's what we're looking at. We've known about this for 40 years. The Social Security trustees have been for 40 years. Every single year they have been saying, Social Security is on the Titanic. We're heading to that iceberg. We're going to be there in about, right now it's 2033. And they've been saying that for decades. And we, or our politicians, have said, all right, we'll turn the ship in time. Don't worry about it. We'll turn the ship in time. And now, unfortunately, in 90 more checks, we're going to get a 23% cut. Social Security is not going bankrupt. It's always going to be here as long as there's people working and paying into the system, as long as we don't privatize it. But we're going to get a 23% cut in 2033. There's estimates I've seen out there that's going to be sooner than the 90 checks. It's quite a few months sooner, unfortunately. So some foreigner gets into politics, does well, speaks well, crowd brazenly follows, groups are painted out as bad, parasitic. Okay, not sure. I bought an 8-man tent a few years ago. Okay, I think we got some trolls coming in here. The thing is, you don't go blaming groups 2 decades ahead. Now that looks so wrong. Okay. All right, we got some side conversations here, and this is live Q&A, and I just push the buttons and see what comes up, and hopefully it's a Social Security question, and sometimes it does not. Don't fix Social Security, fully fund it, and hire some people while they are at it. Yes, fixing it is fully funding it. That's the issue. A lot of people don't realize that after you make $176,100 in 2025, you no longer pay Social Security tax on any money after that. So us regular schmoes, we pay Social Security FICA tax on every dollar we make, 6.2%. If you make over $176,100, you no longer pay Social Security FICA tax. So if you're making $500,000 a year, you're paying 2.18%. If you're making $5 million, you're paying 0. Whatever percent, a very, very small amount. So that's the issue. That is the issue. The money is going to the top, and the top don't pay into Social Security like the rest of us. And so that is the issue. Let's see. Just saw a video from Indio, California, where they showed hundreds of older RV encampments off in the desert areas not far from $1 million homes. People are being forced to live in their vehicles. Yes, that's, I know in Silicon Valley, that type of situation where, got the, hundreds of millions of dollars homes up there, and but the people that work at the, the local grocery stores and stuff have to live in their RVs. I've got a new program I'm working on that's hopefully going to help some people keep their Medicaid, keep their food stamps and all the rest of it, and also see if we can join together and get things done. But working on that now, so we shall see. I've written to my representatives many times about the looming Social Security crisis, asking what are they going to do about it. No response from any of them. Yeah, it really depends on what type of state you're in, what type of representative. It's all their fault. Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, doesn't matter. If they had solved it, then we wouldn't get the cuts. We wouldn't have to be waiting on the cuts for, in a few years, 23%. But one particular party, never liked Social Security from 1935 since the beginning. And the other party said, oh, yeah, we love it. We want to protect it. But no, there's no there, right? So, all right, I've got some video questions. Let's get into some video questions here and see what we have.
We're going to bring AI.
Administration, they denied me. And I know for a fact, anyway, it doesn't matter. They denied me. I'm in denial. So I don't know what to do now to have it reviewed, or I just don't know how to go forward. Because I would like to have it reviewed. Anyway, so if you could give me now, what do I do after I've been denied for divorced independent spouse?
Okay, so she filed. Yeah, I talked to her earlier this year when I was doing private consultations. We still do it, but I've got another retired Social Security employee that does it. So you can schedule an appointment to visit her, to talk to her on the phone if you want. But independently entitled divorced spouse. So if you were denied that, whether you were actually officially denied. So a lot of people think when they walk into the Social Security Administration and they ask a question and the person at the other side of the glass says no, they think that's a denial. No, that's just someone saying whatever. You're not denied until you actually file an application. So if you filed an application and you received a letter that says we denied your claim because of X, Y, or Z, then that's a denial. Anything short of that ain't nothing. So bad English, but anyway. And remember, let me get my independently entitled divorced spouse, because this is one that Social Security employees mess up quite a bit themselves, because again, the people at the front windows. The people at the front windows are customer service representatives. They're generalists. They're not experts. You need to see someone in the back, a Title II CS, a Title II of the Social Security Act. So those are the people you need to talk to for an actual decision and a formal decision. Okay, so for independently entitled divorced spouse, I've sent many people in there and says, hey, you can get benefits on your ex's record even if they haven't filed for benefits yet. As long as your previous spouse was 62 years old, you've been divorced, only on this one, you've been divorced from that person for 2 years, and your benefit amount is less than half of theirs. Then you can get benefits on that person's record, the difference between yours and theirs. And I've sent many people in the Social Security office, and they come back here on the live Q&A the next day, and they said, Ed, I went in there, and they said, you're an idiot. And I'm just like, okay, I didn't know my wife worked at Social Security, number one. But number two is, you just talked to the wrong person. So I started giving out the references. So on my website, you can go in there and click on it, and it gives you the Social Security reference. It goes directly to PALMS, which is the policy manual of Social Security. And it takes forever to pull up here. So independently entitled divorced spouse, and it gives you all of the information. So you go in there and you are locked and loaded with the actual policy. So if they denied you an actual denial letter, anything short of that ain't nothing. And the letter says, so you have to be at least 62 years old. You have to file for benefits on your record. Your ex-spouse has to be at least 62 years old. Doesn't matter if they file for benefits on your record or not. Your benefit amount has to be less than half of their full benefit amount, their PIA. Your PIA, your primary insurance amount, has to be less than half of their primary insurance amount. And you're currently not married. If all of those figure, then they shouldn't have denied you. If any of those, you weren't able to jump through any of those hoops, then unfortunately, yeah, that would be a denial. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully, and if you go back in there and they eventually do approve you, and then the person at the front window just gave you incorrect information, make sure you tell them that, hey, I came in here, I called a month ago, 2 months ago, and the person said no, and so I lost 2 months of benefits, so I want retroactive pay. You're protected. So you go back 2 months and you can get those 2 months that you lost. So make sure you do that. All right, let's see what other kind of questions we got popping up here.
Hi, my name is Mary. I live in Colorado. How this big, ugly bill, I say, will affect my benefits is I receive MSP, which is the Medicare Savings Program, and I'm also on a dual special needs plan. I do rely on the $185 coverage every month for my Medicare premiums, copays, deductibles, and coinsurance to be covered, as I am on a higher level of Medicaid. I am also concerned about the 6-month reviews, as we don't have enough caseworkers in our counties to be able to go through even our annual reviews on time. And if my Medicaid discontinued, I don't know what I would do. And I would also lose access to my dual special needs plan, as well as my Medicare premiums. I just cannot afford that. This is urgent, and Congress needs to put in some provisions immediately. I will be meeting with my members of Congress fairly soon, hopefully in August when they're in recess, to talk about dual eligibility. And I encourage everybody else to do so as well, as much as they can. Thank you so much, Dr. Ed, for all you do.
All right. Yes, this is going to be a very difficult thing going over the next year or so. It's called I call it bureaucratic disenrollment. So sounds like she's eligible for those benefits, but as she mentions that now that they're going to have to double up on verification, re-verification, recertification, and there's just not enough of people working in her local Medicaid office in that particular state, which I worked for Medicaid before I worked for Social Security Administration, and that's pretty much par for the course or throughout the country. So people are going to get disenrolled. This happened right after Corona, after the pandemic. People got kicked off of Medicaid, and about 75% of those people got kicked off. They were kicked off incorrectly because there was such a giant inflow of a workload that people were just falling through the cracks. And this, unfortunately, is what's going to happen again. And the politicians know that. And so they say, well, don't worry about it. If you're eligible, you're eligible. Yeah. If you fill out everything perfectly and you dot all your I's and cross all your T's and you make sure you check that box and you include that form and this other form, because they're not going to make it easy for you. They actually rolled back the law that was supposed to go into effect. There was a law that was about to go into effect that said, hey, we're going to make it easier for you. We're going to help you make sure you keep your benefits. If you're eligible for those benefits, we're going to help you get those benefits. We know the bureaucracy is a nightmare. We're going to help you navigate the bureaucracy. Congress thought it was a beautiful thing to say, nope, we're not going to make it easy. We're going to roll back that law for 10 years. So you don't need help for the next 10 years. You're on your own, pretty much. And so people are going to lose benefits. They're going to lose their Medicaid. So they're going to have to pay a whole bunch of more out of pocket for their health care. They're going to lose that Medicare savings program, what she was talking about, the $185. If you're receiving Medicaid and you have the upper levels of Medicaid, the state will pay for your Part B premium, that $185. So if she loses that for a month or 2 months or completely, then she'll lose that $185, have to pay more out of pocket. And she's got the Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan, and usually those have some other type of, grocery cards and stuff. So she might lose another $100, $200 on that. And it's going to be a nightmare. And that's what I'm working on now on a system to help you make sure you are able to navigate the bureaucracy. So hopefully, we get this thing rolled out soon. It's a crazy endeavor.
Good day, Doctor. I moved to the Philippines in April of this year. I managed to get my address on Social Security changed to my Philippine address. I filed the CMS 1763 form, or whatever the number is, to Medicare back in April of this year. I had it mailed from a US so that it wouldn't take a long time to get there from the Philippines. I canceled my Medicare Part B on that form and mailed it to Terre Haute, Indiana. This is now almost August of 2025, and they still have not canceled my Medicare. I call them every month after I get my bank deposit in the US, and the Medicare is still being deducted from my Social Security. How long does it take for them to cancel it? Is it true that they pay you retroactive to the date you canceled it on the 1763 form? And how long does it take them to actually cancel my Medicare? Thank you.
To actually cancel your Medicare, if I've done this a few million times, you walk into the office, you hand out a form that says, I don't want Medicare, then they put it in the computer and pretty much done. So that's how long it takes. They lost your paperwork. Guarantee, 100%. They lost your paperwork. Terre Haute, Indiana, I guess that's your local district office or something. That's not a regional office. It's got to be your local office. They lost it. You have to do the whole thing again, unfortunately, and send it in and say, and then when you do it, or you can call the 800 number and see if they can do it through an oral attestation where they can do it over the phone. I'm not sure they can do it, but that might be an extenuating circumstance. Said, hey, here's the deal. $185 is, food money or whatever the case may be. And hopefully they can push that through. But if you've been with, they've been holding that $185 and you had requested them, to withhold it or to stop it several months ago, then I would fight to get that retroactive pay and, to get that $185 back for all those months. That's going to be a difficult one because it's between, Social Security and Medicare. Medicare makes the ultimate decision on that. And they're going to say, yeah, even if you didn't use your Medicare at that time, Medicare, insurance, all insurance is a pooled risk. It's like, well, I haven't had a car accident in the last 12 months. I want that money back. But it's a pooled risk. If something would have happened, you were covered. So that's going to be a tougher fight, unfortunately. So yeah, you're going to have to do the whole thing again because they lost the paperwork. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I would reach out to your politician and make it a congressional. So reach out to one of your senators, the two senators that go to Washington, your House representative, or whoever represents your district back home, and get it done. You can go online onto their websites and click on the little button that says, I need help with a federal agency. And the federal agency you need help with is obviously Social Security. And they will do a congressional, and hopefully that will expedite things. So. Oh, already answered that one. Let's see here. And on the other issue about whether you need to stop Part B. Okay, so hopefully, and on part of that form, the 1763, it has a whole long paragraph. It says, okay, you understand that if you stop Part B, if you have creditable coverage from work, health insurance from yours or your spouse's work, then you're fine. But if you don't, if you ever decide to go back to the United States and from the Philippines, and something happens, you get homesick or get sick or whatever the case may be, then you're going to be penalized 10% for every 12 months you did not have Part B. And you're not going to be able to sign up for Part B until January, February, or March during the general enrollment period.
Hey, Dr. Ed. I'm just watching your stuff on YouTube and was just wondering where my Social Security check for this month is. I got it last month around the 3rd, but I don't know if the birthday crap is going through or they do it around your birthday starting this month or what's going on or whatever. I don't know, but where is my check? I don't know if the stuff that I filled out online for the Social Security thing to let me know to go to court, I guess. I don't know if it's like it's every year, I think it is.
Okay, so if you received your check the previous month, unless you've changed benefits, so sounds like she filled out something or. But yeah, if you're continuing to get the same benefits, if you're receiving retirement benefits and continue to get there, you're receiving survivor benefits, continue to get that, receiving disability benefits, continue to get that, then you shouldn't have an issue with your check. If you switch benefits sometimes from disability to survivors or something like that, sometimes that might change your pay date. There's some extenuating circumstances that sometimes it does. But if you got it last month and you're on the same type of benefits, then you should be good. So there's a few things. So you definitely need to reach out, call your local office and find out what's going on with your check. If you need your check because you're going to be evicted or you lose your electricity or something like that, you can ask for a check out of the office. And a lot of people don't know that. Yes, they prefer, if you have direct deposit, they can do an immediate payment in your direct deposit, and usually takes about a day or 2 or 3 days for the Department of Treasury to go ahead and redeposit that money. But if you need money immediately because they're about to be evicted, you have to have the 5-day, quit or, notice, the eviction notice, or that they're going to shut off your electricity. Then you can request a check. So they will actually print a check and give it to you to take down to your local bank to cash it out. So if you're in dire need, then you can definitely do that. So let's see what else we got here. I think somebody's
Hello,
shy.
Dr. Ed. You explained in several videos regarding how to maximize our benefit between survivor benefit and retirement benefit. How about this scenario? It might apply to many women. A husband is 70 years old, currently receiving retirement benefit. His wife is 62 years old, hoping to receive the same amount in full when she becomes alone. She applies for her own benefit now at 62. Social Security document mention if she have not filed yet at the time of becoming widow, she has the option to stay at her own record until she becomes the full retirement age and be able to hold and wait the survivor benefit to receive the full amount. However, Social Security document is not clear about if she already receiving her early reduced benefit, whether she still be able to hold the widow's benefit to get the full amount. I called the Social Security many times. Their answer are mostly she will not be able to hold the survivor benefit if the husband dies before her full retirement age. Would you please clear on this case?
Okay, good question. All right, so yeah, this is a complicated one. So if you're currently receiving spouse benefits from your current spouse, living spouse, or previous spouse, divorced spouse, and so you're receiving benefits on your record, and let's say because your spouse's benefits is more than twice your full benefit amount, so you're also receiving spouse benefits. It's called auxiliary spouse benefits. Then something happens, and let's say you are 65 years old. You're not your full retirement age yet. What they will do is they won't switch you out. They're not supposed to switch you over automatically to survivor benefits. They'll put you in suspense. And then you're supposed to reach out to them and say, okay, yeah, I want to go ahead and switch over to survivor benefits right now. But you have the option to say, no, I don't want to switch over to survivor benefits. I just want to go ahead and continue to get benefits on my record. I know I won't receive spouse benefits, but I'll get benefits on my record. And then when you turn your full retirement age, then you can turn on survivor benefits and you'll get the full 100% because you will be your full retirement age at that time. There's an actual form that you have to fill out that shows if you want those benefits early, then, under your full retirement age, then there's a form you actually have to fill out that you understand that, hey, you're going to benefits are being reduced. You can wait till your full retirement age, but you want your benefits to start now, even though they're reduced. You understand that they're going to be reduced for the rest of your life and all that. That's if you're under your full retirement age. They suspend it until you make your decision. If you're past your full retirement age, it's automatic. One day you're receiving regular spouse benefits, and then when something happens, the next month you're automatically switched to the survivor benefits because there's no reason for Social Security to contact you because your benefits are not going to be reduced because you're filing early because you're after your full retirement age. So that is what's called an auto convert. It automatically converts to survivor benefits. So that's a complicated one. People at the front window make mistakes on.
Eligible for surviving divorced spouse since March 1st. I lost my job due to workers' compensation since May. So, but I'm expecting to get my settlement from workers' comp from my employer this month, July. Am I able to get my benefits effective August 1st without being penalized?
Okay, so workers' comp or private pension or inheritance or lottery, anything like that does not affect Social Security retirement benefits, spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, surviving divorce spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits. None of that affects any of those. The only time workers' comp affects Social Security benefits is if you're receiving Social Security disability insurance or SSI, supplemental security income, the needs-based, welfare-based program that Social Security also administers. But workers' comp, it's basically Congress said, hey, you shouldn't make more on disability than you did when you're actually working. So if you're receiving Social Security disability and workers' comp, sometimes people receive more than they did when they actually worked. So that's the only time it affects it. But if you're receiving the benefits you said, then it doesn't affect it at all. The only time workers' comp affects Social Security benefits is if it's a disability type of claim. So other than that, no, you are good. So nothing should change at all. Another shy person.
Hello, Ed. I don't see my face, but hopefully I'm recording. We haven't heard from you for 3 or 4 days, and we're concerned. You're kind of our lifeline here for Social
awesome.
Security, welfare, and all things in that arena. Could you please shoot us some kind of a message that you're okay? Anyway, thank you very much. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, the wife said I had to take off a few days, so I took off a few days. And so do I look 20 years younger? I don't think it worked. But anyway, yeah, I am back. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've got a lot of emails and people reaching out to me in comments and say, where's Ed? Where's Ed? Yeah, I'm still here, still alive and kicking, and I'll continue to stay around. All right, let's see here. Elizabeth, 66 teacher, retired July. I will get about $15K for unused sick days sometime this summer. Will this count against me if I collect Social Security checks in July? No, those are called special payments. So if you're going to start your benefits in July, it only accounts, Social Security only counts for the work you did in July. So if you did some type of work and you got a bonus or sold back some leave or whatever the case may be from prior to when you started your Social Security checks, then it shouldn't affect you. And I say shouldn't, it doesn't affect you, but if the claim specialist that is taking your claim doesn't code it correctly, and then it's called non-service months, Social Security employees will know what I'm talking about. If they don't code it directly, then what will happen is next year you'll get a nasty grant from Social Security on one of those overpayments, and they'll hold 50% if you don't contact them, you know. And all you have to do is say, that was for a previous time. You go down there and show them that was, you know, sold back leave or whatever the case may be, and they'll correct it, and no harm, no foul. And if that happens, then make sure you say, hey, that's the person that took my claim, and give them a quick refresher on non-service months, and so it doesn't happen again. So if they go to a national healthcare system, government would have to pay us back our money we paid in. Can't see them doing that. Yeah, I mean, the Veterans Administration is a nationalized healthcare. You know, the politicians have kind of a nationalized socialist healthcare. So I don't know about paying back money. I don't think they're going to do that. Could not make out anything that first video person was saying, Dr. Ed. Sorry. Hopefully the audio went through for the rest. Retired at 62, took benefits. Now at 65, my parent goes down to pay for Medicare. I was surprised by that. Yes. So if you're receiving benefits at 62 years old, they sign you up automatically for Medicare. If you're receiving benefits, you have to sign up for Part A. That's $0 premium per month. The Part B, that's the $185 a month, and they'll start taking out of your Social Security check automatically, unless if you have health insurance from current work, creditable coverage from your current work or your spouse's current work, your employer has 20 more employees, then you can just refuse that Part B and save yourself the $185. But if you don't, then it'll be automatic. And then you have to find a plan to cover all of those gaps, because there are a lot of gaps in original Medicare. Part B has a big giant one, the 20% gap, so co-insurance. So that's why people either get a Medicare supplement plan, which are the ones I recommend to check out first. But if it's not for you, then a Medicare Advantage plan. But unless you've got a whole bunch of money sitting under your, in a coffee can in the backyard, you really need something else to cover those gaps. So, Nelson, what's up, Nelson? We've been going back and forth between Democrats and Republicans, and no one touched removing the FICA cap. We need to get behind a third-party independent candidate and give them the opportunity. Yeah, usually, at Ross Perot and all those guys, anytime you get a third party, it just takes off from one and the other one. Yeah, sometimes there's as part of the strategy, one party will start a third party, and the third party will appeal to the other side to take votes from them to disperse. And so, we just have to get together and anyway, I'm working on that. So thank God I got a good rep when I filed for that. Do me good as I had for 10 years, and now I get mine. Okay, so there are some good Social Security. There's phenomenal Social Security employees out there that are doing a phenomenal job. They're definitely not being supported by Congress. They're cutting back on staffing, and it's making everything more difficult. Already too late. If FICA cap unlimited Social Security trust funds right out in 2054, if FICA cap to $5 billion only gets us about 5 more years. More than just FICA cap needs to be addressed. Maybe no benefit for certain. Yes, good point. And this is what politicians, trick us with. And they say, well, there's no perfect solution, so I think we should just do nothing. Well, this was a perfect solution a few years ago, but every year we wait to raise or eliminate the FICA cap, it helps less. So because, we're kind of, if we raise the FICA cap in 2032, year before, then it's not going to help. So this was a perfect solution a few years ago. Now it's only about a 76% perfect solution. So we need to find another, 24%. And some would argue that, a means tested system where if you're, got over, if you're getting over $1 million a year, then maybe, you can put off your Social Security benefits or something like that. Yeah. To eliminate the FICA cap was a perfect solution a few years ago, but every year it becomes less so. And that's what politicians, do. They, that's what they did is they delay, and then they say, well, it's not going to solve everything. It's not going to, make everybody 100%, whole. And it's not going to, get you free ice cream, and, Ed's not going to get his hair back. So if Ed's not getting his hair back, we're not going to do anything, right? So I would agree with that last part, though. Yeah, that's the priority. Sorry. Christopher, I was laid off 62 and needed income. I filed for Social Security. I'll be 64 in October, and I received an unexpected large overpayment letter. Is it best to file an appeal online? Okay, so all right. So I kind of read in between this your sentences here. Read between the lines. Is 62. And then you needed income, so you were 62, and then you went back to work, possibly. And so you went over the annual earnings limit for last year, and now you got an overpayment. Yes, yeah. So, but you can, even though you have an overpayment, it sounds like you are not going to fight the overpayment in the sense of, yes, you understand that you made over the annual earnings limit. You understand that anything over, like this year, $23,400, Social Security is going to hold back $1 for every $2 you go over. You understand all that stuff. It's just that, you don't want your check to be withheld 50%. You want to set up a payment plan, and you can do that. And click on my website, mygovexpert.com, going to understand overpayments, and your options are pay it in full, request a waiver, appeal the decision, request a lower withholding rate. So, and then it gives you the forms there, the 561, the 632, request a waiver, and all those. So you can definitely do that. And and remember, as of right now, I think Doge is thinking about doing this, charging you interest. But right now, there's no interest on that. And it's easy to set up a 60-month payment plan, so you can pay it back over 5 years. So 89 months from now, take a 24% haircut. By then, Medicare will be 505 higher too. Yeah. And people think that Medicare wasn't touched during this whole big, beautiful bill, but unfortunately, Medicare is hurt as well because of what's called the Pay-As-You-Go Act, that Medicare, I think this is going to hit sooner than those 80-hour work, the work, regulations and everything for people on disability. Medicare looks like they're going to be cut sooner. And Medicaid is actually, even though the federal politicians, being politicians, they say, well, none of this, we're not going to hurt poor people until after the elections, until the poor people put us back into office, which they will probably, well, unless you decide not so. But the states, I think pretty much every state, part of their constitution, they have to balance their budget. And these states, they do their budgets about a year or 2 years before. So they see on the horizon that they're going to get less money from Medicaid and from the government. So that the Medicare savings program, Medicaid, all of those things, I think in some states, we're going to see things happening a lot sooner than expected. And a lot of people are going to be in this situation right here, are going to be saying this. Wait, what? I didn't think that had anything to do with me. Why didn't anybody warn us? I thought Medicare was safe. I just assumed it wouldn't touch me and my family. Yeah, we're gonna be hearing that a lot because of that bureaucratic disenrollment. A lot of people out there on Medicaid, so I'm elderly, I'm this, and I've got low income, so it's not going to affect me. Yeah, if you do all the paperwork perfectly, and even if you do all the paperwork perfectly, if your local Medicaid office doesn't drop the ball and does everything perfectly, a lot of faith there, then you should be good. So there's that. If one becomes a widow when she has been already receiving her own early reduced retirement, B, does she still have ability to wait the survivor B fraud to get the full benefit? Yes. Again, you have to fill out that form. They put your benefits in suspense until you fill out the form that says, yes, I understand, I want a reduced amount. Yes, but you can definitely do that. Bella, I always send my paperwork by certified mail. Perfect. But that means it got to the office. So that means the post office, didn't lose it. But once it gets to the office, even if it's certified mail, unfortunately, yes, sometimes it gets, if they don't put it into the system, there's a paperless system, it's called WorkTrack, and Bella knows she's a regular, and I kind of brag about this. I'm the one that helped design the paperless system that Social Security currently uses. But if it goes into that system, then it's good. But even then, as we used to say in the Marine Corps, it's not the dope on the weapon, it's the dope behind the weapon, the M16. Anyway, but even if it's in the system, someone actually has to go in there and work it. A human being actually has to look at your document and take action on that document. And unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen. Let me see. I've got the Parkinson's still work. If I can't work anymore, what are requirements to get disability? To get disability is the inability to work. If you're Parkinson's or whatever disability you have, if you're unable to work, but Ed, you just said you can work and receive disability benefits. Yes. It's called substantial gainful activity. So this year that is $1,620 because some people with disabilities, can, do a little part-time, do it on the internet or something like that. So if the first month you earn under $1,620, then you can file for disability. And I've got that on my website too. It gives you the application, gives you, tricks and pointers of how to fill it out and all the rest of it. So, all right, let's see. I just started Social Security stage 65. My wife has been on it for 4 years. So when you file for your benefits, because your wife is receiving it as well, make sure, y'all check to see if one or the other are eligible for spouse benefits. So one of your records, your full benefit amount has to be less than half of the other person's. Okay. And that's one of the problems with Social Security, trying to be more efficient by pushing everybody online. And, that's great if you actually file for the correct benefits. But, I see a lot of people going in there and filing for retirement benefits. They should have filed for surviving spouse benefits. They should have also included independently entitled divorce spouse benefits. And then it's being missed and people are not getting the benefits they're eligible for. And then people are going to come in here next year when we're doing a live and say, I didn't know I could file for these other benefits last year. I just, I thought Social Security was retirement. So I filed for retirement and I didn't know I could get this other. Unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of that. We still see that today. Welcome back, Dr. Ed. Hope you and Ms. Rivera had some nice relaxation. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not good at relaxation. So anyway, I did send out a community post on my YouTube channel, and it basically asking people, how this is going to affect them, this whole big, beautiful bill. And that's one of the responses I got. So if you want to go onto my website, mygovexpert.com, and on the lower left, there's a little icon type thing. You can record a video and tell us how the big, beautiful bill is going to affect you. Is it good, bad, what you're worried about? And that way we can put all those things together and see what we can do to get some things changed. Patricia, if a Social Security recipient dies during the month a check is received, does that amount have to be repaid? Yes. You have to be alive the entire month. So if you pass on the 15th, then you weren't around the entire month. So, but that's one of the reasons Social Security starts their benefits the month after. So when you start Social Security, if you start it in January, you get your check in February. If you start it February, you get it in March. That's one of the reasons, so they can catch it at the tail end, because we all have the inevitable tail end, right? They won't cut your check here, even if you are in dire need. Not going to happen. They won't cut your check here, even if you're in dire need. They won't cut you a check here. Oh, okay. Yes, they better. If they don't, you reach out to your politician. If you go in there, and again, you have to have documentation. You just can't go in there and say, I want a check. You have to have documentation, an eviction notice, or they're going to shut off your electricity or your heat or something like that. And if you go in there, you demand a check out of the office, then they better do it. I've done tens of thousands of those checks out of the office, and it's not a regular Department of Treasury check with with the Statute of Liberty. It's a special check, and they give you a letter too, and the letter says, yeah, this is a weird looking check, but it is a government check. If you got any problems, bank, give us a call. And I used to put my phone number down there, and the banks used to call me up, and I said, oh yeah, Kim, yeah, we gave her a check just about 30 minutes ago, and yeah, that's a good check. Go ahead and cash it for her. So if they don't, and if you actually have the documentation, you need it, then yeah. I mean, I guess there's another exception. We've had people that, hi, Margaret, that came in and requested a check out of the office every single month. And yeah, we can't do that. So she said her check was stolen, or she lost her check. And we're not talking about lost in the street. We're talking about she lost it in the casino. If automatic Social Security cuts are allowed to occur in 2032, the number of seniors facing potential homelessness is likely to increase significantly. Call your representative. That is a fact. Absolutely. Let's see. How do they expect older people to survive if they cut Social Security, SNAP, HUD, Medicaid? I depend on all those to get by. Yeah, the most vulnerable amongst us are going to be paying for these tax cuts. But the consolation is you get a nice tax cut for your private jet. So, yeah, billions of dollars are going to the super rich. They get a giant tax cut while the Medicaid and all those other benefits, are suffering. And we get trillions of dollars of debts to pay for it. So your kids and grandkids get trillions of dollars of extra debt. So I guess that politicians believe that is a beautiful thing. So stay posted, keep posted. I'm working on a program. We're going to join together, help each other out, make sure everybody crosses the T, dots the I, their local offices do the right thing. We shall not go gently into the night. Patricia Taylor, here's an example. My dad died in January. He gets that check. It's actually payment for December, not entitled to direct deposit in February, which is payment for January. Yes, that is correct. And people used to always come in and say, well, parent just died. What do we do with the last check? Usually you just leave it in the bank. And once the state coroner's office or funeral home notifies the state of that person's passing, the state has an agreement with Social Security to notify Social Security that person's passing, and then Social Security notifies the Department of Treasury. It all happens, pretty much instantaneously. And then Department of Treasury looks and says whether that person was entitled to that check because of, the entire month provision. And if they're not, then the Department of Treasury goes in there and yanks out that check. So for that last check, if you're not sure whether the person was entitled to it, you just leave it in there, and then Social Security or Treasury will pull it out automatically. That's too cute. Worried about Ed being missing. You have become very important to people, Ed. That must make you feel good. Yeah, it does. Yes, it's it's awesome being a bureaucrat. One case at a time. Hopefully, I helped out. I think my office did really, really good customer service. But this is far and away a lot better. I wish the Social Security Administration would do something like this, answer people's questions and stuff, but they're too bureaucratic. They would have to have a committee every time someone asked a question, and, they're worried about this, that, and the other. And so I don't have to worry. My handcuffs are off. So we Social Security recipients are part of the economy, which means jobs. Everyone must vote to help workers to keep working. Yes. And AI is going to make that very, very difficult. Yeah. It's getting harder and harder to get even if it's insane or not nowadays. Too many capitalized words. Let's see. I haven't been able to find you at 6 p.m. for 4 days. Yeah, I've just been gone. Granted, you're entitled to vacation, but I think this was a YouTube hiding your podcast from me. Wow. No, I was just gone for a few days. So. But on my YouTube channel, I've still got, If you click on the little live tab, then I've got the other, hundreds of videos. And we just put up one today on final expense burial insurance. A lot of people are asking about that because that $255 benefit from Social Security just doesn't cover funerals, anything close, or the last medical bills or anything like that. So my son and I found a place, David Duford, that can help people with burial insurance, file and expense. So if you're interested in that, give him a call, and please let me know. As just like in chapter here that we've brought in to help people with Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage and all that kind of stuff. We've had nothing but really, really, really good reviews on chapter. They're helping you all out. They're doing an awesome job. So we're going to keep them as a partner. Same thing with David Duford. Please let me know if they're nice to you, if they're not nice to you, if they're doing the right thing. Because if they don't do the right thing, just like anybody else, then get the big chicken dinner. Bad conduct discharge, we used to say. I am sure my sick leave pay was taxed. Does that still mean it's not counted as earned income? I'm confused. Yeah, the IRS, you'll still have to pay taxes. It's still earned income, but I think you're the one that was talking about that you're going to be starting your benefits in July, and then you're going to receive money from a prior period, from prior to July. So in that case, it is earned income, but it wasn't earned income once you started your benefits. That's the key. So, and I like the little Picasso-esque, doodle you have there. I'm 63, and if I go over my earnings in the year, will they stop my SSDI payment indefinitely? Okay, so SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, that's a whole different ball of wax. So that is a monthly type of thing. And that's the one that gets kind of fusing. You got the trial work period, that 9 months where you can make as much as you want, and Social Security doesn't care to try to go back to work. It's if you continue to make, even after your 12 months, you have what's called the extended period of eligibility. And again, on my website, it's all too confusing. So that's why I put up on my website. Working in benefits. So I've got a calculator there. It tells you all the difference between the trial work period and the extended period of eligibility. And then I've got a worksheet that I put together that I think is in pretty good English. It's easy to understand, unlike the Social Security thing. And it tells you what the difference is, trial work period and all that, and gives you some examples of what happens. So that is 100% free. A lot of social media people out there, they said, hey, if you, sign up, you give us your email and stuff, and so we can harass you on a daily basis, you can have this guide. But yeah, we don't play that here. I was gonna play in living color there for a second, but I withheld. But if you want, you can definitely support the channel. You can subscribe. We have a newsletter. You can support our mission, throw us a couple of bucks, provide feedback on the website, and that also helps. And we've also got an Amazon affiliates as well to pay for this new project we're working on the website and everything like that. So if you're going to be buying something on Amazon and you want to support us, on the link in the description, you can see the link there. And someone already bought some ice cream sandwiches and some Smarties and some other stuff for $2 here, $2 there. So that's awesome. So we appreciate it. We really do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Those ice cream sandwiches look pretty good too. So had an overpayment from last year, and it doesn't cost you anything else. Amazon does, if ice cream sandwiches cost you $1.99, you're still going to pay $1.99. They just throw, a couple of pennies, maybe a half a cent our way or something on something like that. So yeah, we appreciate it. Had an overpayment from last year, called the number on the letter a couple of weeks ago to pay, and gave my credit card number to pay. Nothing has come out of my account yet. How long does it take? It doesn't sound like it's ever going to come out of your account because you paid it on a credit card. So, wow. So you paid the whole thing in full, which, okay, that's what you want to do. More power to you. But if you did that and you don't pay off your credit card immediately, you're going to get interest charges on that. So you know, if you're going to pay it off immediately, pay off your credit card, then 0 interest. But if you're not, then you really should have set up a payment plan, because Social Security doesn't charge you interest. So you could have set up a payment plan for 12 months, 24 months, 60 months, and 0 interest. That might have been the best way to go. But it's completely up to you. So, are overpayments when you have received more than you put in during your working years? No, overpayment is just basically your benefits now. You know, again, the person working over, making too much money, and, you know, making over the annual earnings limit, and therefore they get the, you know, the $1 for $2 you go over, and all that other kind of stuff. So, yes. Welcome, newbies. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and all that kind of good stuff. Yes, too many people are not receiving the benefits they need and eligible for, and that's how we teach these algorithms, TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn and all that stuff, that, hey, this is important stuff, and it gets out to more people. So you're essentially paying it forward, and we appreciate it. All right, this will be the last question here. Does my wife qualify for Social Security benefits with no Social Security for caring for our U.S. citizen daughter 10 years? We've been waiting for her visa. I'm citizen, 63 years old, receiving Social Security retirement. Okay, so a wife, a spouse, is eligible for benefits on the other spouse's record, even if they, you know, haven't worked themselves. No relevance whatsoever. As long as they're 62 years old and the other spouse is receiving, you know, benefits, then you can file as a spouse. You don't have to be eligible, entitled, insured for benefits on your own record. Not an issue. And then you have the daughter waiting for her visa, U.S. citizen daughter. Not sure. Okay, why are you waiting for a visa for U.S. citizen daughter? Or is this for the spouse? All right, so what I would do the daughter, if you're receiving benefits, your 10-year-old daughter should be receiving benefits too. So if the parent is receiving retirement benefits or disability benefits, SSDI, then the children are eligible up until the age of 18 or until they graduate high school. The other spouse can be entitled at any age to what's called auxiliary child and care benefits. So those are benefits for auxiliaries, that is spouses, that have a child in care, just kind of as the name implies. And you go onto my website, you get more information, and you just click on the child and care benefits, and it tells you what does caring for a child, what does that mean? So it's basically your child can get benefits and your spouse can get benefits. And then you've got visa, something, whatever. You're waiting on it. If the person is, U.S. citizen in the country legally, I would probably reach out to Social Security because she's waiting on a visa. I guess is maybe for the spouse, and she's waiting on. Yeah, a visa shouldn't make any difference. A visa is just Are you talking about the green card? If that's the case, waiting on a green card, then that's a whole different issue. You have to be issued the green card before you can receive benefits. So there's that. So the children can receive benefits. Auxiliary child and care can receive benefits, but you have to, be a U.S. citizen or in the country legally. That's a fact. All right. That is it for today. I will be back again tomorrow with another topic, and then we'll answer a whole bunch of questions. You all have an awesome night. Great to be back.